Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Powerful Man Show. I am your host, Doug Holt, with my co-host, Tim, the Powerful Man Matthews. What's going on, brother?
Lots. And I'm loving it. All the work we're getting to do with the men, the time office hours yesterday. For you guys listening, one of the things that we added into the program probably 4 or 5 weeks ago, every Tuesday at 4 p.m. UK time, we have an office hours call for all the men currently going through the activation method from all the different cohorts. And it's led by either myself, Doug, or Arthur. And yesterday, I was a lucky one. And it was just awesome to see all those guys on there from the different groups. And I'm sure there'll be a few shout outs to those guys over the course of the next couple of episodes. And the masterclass for the guys in the Brotherhood, I'm loving doing that too. Just everything. I feel very, very grateful to be able to do what we do. It really is a gift and a dream. I dreamt of this many, many years ago.
Yeah, it is awesome. I'll take over the office hours next week, and then you pass the baton for the master classes, and then we go right into. I'll be teaching the guys a 4-week master class on how to effectively handle shit tests and how to manage their state, which is something the guys talk about a lot, right? You come from the Alpha Reset, especially. How do you always manage that state? It's funny, Tim, because I had a woman come up to me. So as you know, I've been competing in CrossFit. I'm having fun. Like, as an older guy, 45. I'll be 45 in Costa Rica. So I'm 44 technically, but there's no way for me to compete. And so this woman is at this platform next to me. And I can't remember what she said exactly, but something along the lines of mother effer or something, right? She's like, "Oh my gosh, Doug, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." I was like, "Don't worry about it. Why are you apologizing to me?" I go, "Yeah, I get frustrated. I cuss too sometimes, you know." She's like, "Really?" She's like, "You're always so calm and collected." I was like, "Interesting. That's managing my state. I have a default state that I'm able to manage outwardly, right, from time to time. That comes from practice and some of the things I'll be teaching the guys." So it's just funny, that representation, when you get really good at managing your state, people perceive you as being the person who's always the lighthouse. You always are in control. You always are this person who's at this level. Of course, Tim, you know that I'm not, but that's the state you get in, and that becomes, part of you. So I'm really excited to teach those guys. And then, Tim, 3 weeks, we'll be in Costa Rica. Super excited for that trip in Costa Rica, taking the guys in the Brotherhood and the Inner Circle through an immersive experience. We have a guest speaker. We are flying in, spend 2 days with all the guys, and we're going to be doing some advanced topics. I don't know if we want to release what topics we'll be teaching quite yet, but I know the guys in the Brotherhood Inner Circle are excited, and I don't think they know that the guys in the Inner Circle are going to get an extra bonus day with this person. So a lot of exciting stuff, a lot of moving parts, as there always are in the movement. And I think we spent a whole hour just talking about what is going on right now within the Powerful Man.
100%. And that kind of leads me, when you talk about state management, to this point. So yesterday, 2 days ago, one of the fine men in the movement, so this isn't in the Facebook group, this is actually in the movement, one of the guys that's invested in there, he put a post out in the community. You may have seen it, Doug, and the guys asked us to dive into this. So I'm going to read this out, and I won't read all the comments, but anyway, let's just read this. So he's got an amazing picture here with his 2 daughters, and obviously he listens to this show, and what the guys do, so they'll probably know who I'm talking about. But anyway, thank you, TPM, for teaching me that I am the prize and helping me recognize when I am not receiving the appreciation that I deserve. There is nothing more hurtful than being put down in front of the kids. Today I drove over an hour round trip to pick up lunch carryout from a favorite dim sum place at my suggestion. Then after lunch, I took the kids out for a monument tour while she napped. When I dropped the kids off, I left right away to pick up pizza for our traditional Sunday dinner. After dinner, she said, "Look, kids, put your dishes next to the sink because your father was too lazy to do the dishes today."
Ooh.
I take pride that I didn't react at all. That would be dear. It just helps me solidify that this is not the life I deserve. So I'll read a couple of the comments from the guys, but there's been a lot of advice being shared from the men and reinforcements being given and so on. So I just love that this guy has all this support from these guys. But anyway, one of the men said, "It really gets under my skin when she plays that card on me. I clean the entire house and she points out the one thing that I missed. It's a hard thing not to react to. I need to work on this. It's such a slap in the face, but you inspire me to try and just let it go next time." But question on this though: when is it okay to stand up for yourself and say you will not be taught to like that versus calling it and going into deer mode? And then we got tagged saying this would be a great topic for discussion: not reacting versus not tolerating. How to distinguish when to say what. Deer versus wolf topic again, but sort of a fine-tuned look into them. Also, what methods for coping when she complains in this fashion? It pierces right through me when she does this. What can I do, or how can I practice not letting it affect me like it normally does to rid myself of this repeated setback? So I want to talk about that, and in particular, the point there that Mr. Shawan made when he said how to not reacting versus not tolerating, right? Because I think a lot of guys will resonate with this, right? And say, now what? How should I respond in that situation? You don't go into deer, and this actually came up in the TAM office hours this week, and we spoke about this coincidentally. But you're not going to go into deer, but how would you be wolf in that situation? Because if you are going to be wolf in that situation, by default, you're not going to react. You're going to respond. By default, you're also not going to tolerate either, right? Because obviously the F in wolf is fierce. So you're not going to tolerate that, especially in front of your kids, right? Because, what picture does that paint to them? So anyway, I'll let you take this away. And I can see that you're rather fired up. So I'll let you go on to this first.
Yeah, I always get fired up when someone's being taken advantage of. It just drives me nuts. Ever since I was a kid, I was always the kid on the playground that would beat up the bully. I got suspended in first grade for that. To my core, it just drives me nuts when someone's being treated unfairly. So let's break the situation down, right? How would I have handled that? I was listening to you. I didn't see this post initially. I'm seeing it now. I pulled it up on my screen. And when I think about it, what I would have done in this situation, or could do, right, is laughed. If my wife says that, "Oh, daddy was too lazy to do dishes," I would turn it into a joke, right? And just laugh, and then joke with the kids, right? So the kids see me laughing it off. Inside, I would be pissed. And so the way that I would realistically handle this situation, if it was put upon me, is I would laugh about it, kind of like, and also knowing all the things that I did, going to get dim sum, I think it was, and all these other things that he did in this situation, I would just laugh at how absurd her comment is. And I would pull her aside immediately. Hey, we need to talk. Let's step into the room, whatever room, right? Assuming she says yes, because I would say it very sternly, like I'm talking to my kids. So when I look at my kids, for example, if they're messing around, I'm all, sit down. I only need to say it once. My kids react like that. They're like, because they know dad is serious. Dad's not messing around. There's no games being played. Boom. My kids fall right into their chairs. Anywhere we are. I would say with the same level of seriousness, like, we need to talk right now. And I'd pull her in and say, look, this is not acceptable. I will not allow you or anybody else to treat me like this, right? Especially not in front of my children. I may say our children, but honestly, if I'm mad, it's my children, right? Because now I'm going, maybe this doesn't work out, but these will always be my kids. That's what I'm thinking internally. And I would say with no room for misunderstanding, this will not be tolerated. I will not tolerate this. And it's not helping you. It's not helping me. It's not helping our children. And I will not stand for this anymore. Do you understand? And I would get confirmation from my wife or the woman or whoever that they understood I was crystal clear. This is exactly what I talk to my kids like. My 2-year-old, when I reprimand her, I say, I don't say it, I may say it sternly. I'm not as aggressive as I'm being now with my 2-year-old, my daughter, but I always say, do you understand, daddy? Do you understand what I mean? And I make sure she confirms it. Sometimes she says no, right? Sometimes she doesn't say anything, but when she says yes, then the expectation has been set as an agreement has happened. Now, my daughter's 2, right? But still, when I get confirmation from my daughter that she understands, the likelihood of her repeating that, whatever it is, maybe it's touching the stove or throwing her dishes or throwing food, the likelihood I've noticed of her repeating that is very low, very low. Although when I just say it, so same thing with my wife. Do you understand? And she might come back at me, and I'm still going to stand there like the lighthouse, weathering the storm. And I'm going to be somewhat stoic, right? Engaged and indifferent, but I'm not completely indifferent at this point. So there's a different slight tweak here, Tim. I'm not going to be completely indifferent, right? Because I am going to be angry, right? If this happens, right? And I might also say, what's wrong? Because there's something else going on with inside this woman that's causing this uproar. If he's gone to all this trouble and done all these things, but daddy's too lazy to do dishes, there's something else going on inside of her, and he has become the punching bag. Now, most likely, and this is no offense to this gentleman who I know and very much respect, and I hope we meet sometime soon, is I'm guessing that during the relationship, his wife has been taught how to treat him. He has taught her because he's allowed this to happen for years, probably, and it's allowed to be done. So it's time for a re-education, right? And this is where Wolf is wise, open, loving, but this is where the F part comes in. I'm fierce. I'm being loving of myself, loving of my kids, and loving of her because it's not the best representation of her either.
Mm.
So what's wrong? And now I'm collecting the berries, so to speak. But often when you tell somebody what's wrong, right, they start to realize that they're being a jerk, right? And another way I've done it, I've done a short video training on this. One of the best things you can do, Tim, is when somebody in a social situation is putting you down or being a jerk to you, all you have to do is look at them and go, are you okay? Because that immediately everybody realizes that that was a effed up thing to do. And that person does too. See, he could do that in this situation, turn to his wife and go, are you okay? And she'd immediately get it. But in this situation, and I would lay the boundary down really clear that I am not to be treated this way by anybody. And I had this conversation recently by one of the guys, one of our one-on-one clients, just out last week, actually. And I asked him, I said, do you think anybody treats me that way? Why not? Yeah, because I just don't accept it. There's not a question of whether Doug's going to accept it. They may try it once. They're not going to try it twice or 3 times. One is, not because they're scared of me. They just realize I won't put up with it and I won't be involved in a relationship with that person, period. Business or otherwise. This is the way I'm teaching them how to treat me. I'm teaching them how to communicate to me. I'm teaching them with every interaction who I am. I'm not the biggest guy in the world or anything by that nature. I'm not trying to get them to fear me. I'm just like, look, I respect and love me. You don't have to love me. You don't have to even like me, but you will respect me. And that's the teaching that this gentleman gets to do with his wife, and really lay down that barrier and that line.
I love that. This goes into this other point that was by somebody else when it said, what can I do or how can I practice not letting it affect me? And I think the point there, we've spoken about this before, right? If I called you purple, would you get triggered? You wouldn't, right? Typically, if you feel yourself getting triggered within this scenario, usually there's an element of truth to it, right? Now, obviously, in this scenario, there's no truth to this guy being lazy, right? But this is a comment from one of the guys. So if I were you and you're saying you're getting triggered, then there's probably going to be one of two things there. One, an element of truth to what she's saying, or two, it's going to trigger maybe the way she talks to you or whatever she says, may trigger something else within you that is probably some form of inadequacy or insecurity that then has you go into deer mode. So the easiest way to combat that is to be living from the inside out, right? Is to be living in alignment with the methods that we teach in the movement. This guy is within the movement, so this is why I'm saying the methods we teach within the movement, because the more you do that, to Doug's point, when you address the boundary quickly and you are speaking up and you are taking a stand for yourself and your self-worth because you deserve to be respected, because we all do, right? Like you said, Doug, you need to like me, you don't need to love me, but you will respect me, right? And when you're taking a stand for yourself in that way, then whatever she says, it washes off your back easier because you know that you are taking a stand for yourself. You know that you, basically what you're saying to yourself subconsciously when you take a stand for yourself is, I matter to me. When you let people talk to you in that way and you don't say anything, what you're basically saying to yourself subconsciously is, I don't matter to me. Therefore, if you allow that to happen time and time again, and then let's say you're doing something, this guy was talking about cleaning the house, then she says something to you, the trigger, it might not even be that particular event, but you've not said anything several times previously, and maybe you've gone into deer mode. Therefore, when she says it this time, you find it hard to wash off because the reality is you've not been acting in alignment in a way where you show yourself that you matter to you.
Oh, it's very true. And I'm listening to you, what you're saying, and also, I'm looking at the picture of this guy. I love this guy, and with his kids and some of the responses he's getting, which is great to see the onpouring from the movement of guys helping each other. I can't help but think, when somebody says, "When's enough enough?" That was one of the comments. And I think this is an important message for a lot of guys listening to this right now. I mean, a lot of you guys right now or some of you guys right now are in a marriage like this where it's very consensual. Your wife is, let's just say she's been a bitch, right? You're not my words per se. I guess they are my words, but that's what it's coming across as. Now, for some of you guys, it's just your interpretation of it, right? You're just misinterpreting it and you've been a jerk for so long. She has every right to be. In this case, right, as an example, she's just not acting appropriately. She's not respecting you. So here's how I look at it, right? You guys are trying to save your marriages, which I respect. And that's one of the things we're known for here at The Powerful Man, one of many, is if you saved your marriage and she treated you like this all the time, is that a relationship worth being in? Is that a life worth living as being a whipping boy for her or anybody for that matter? An employer, an employee, a friend, a relative? The answer is no. One of the things we take the men through is making a list of the people you spend the most time with. One of the things you've commonly heard in business and personal development is you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with, right? One of the things you want to do is make what we call your fuck no list, right? Right? The people and places that you want to avoid. So for example, if you're trying to get healthy, you want to avoid the bars. Just not a good place. Nothing healthy in there, right? You avoid it. If you're trying to live the best life possible, right? Be the best father possible. If there's somebody toxic in your life, a friend, a relative, it's time to cut them out or at least give them there. Now, I'm not a fan of ultimatums. However, in this scenario, if this is happening repeatedly, I would probably lay something down. Like, look, I will not allow you to treat me this way, to disrespect me, to disrespect our marriage, and honestly, to disrespect yourself, especially in front of our kids. The way that we interact, you and I, is exactly what our kids are going to learn a healthy marriage is. And I'm not okay with that. And I'm not only standing up for myself here, but I'm going to take a stand for my kids. And this cannot happen again. If it does, then this relationship has to end. And the reason I say that, Tim, is because look here, guys. I guarantee.
Just on that note, the caveat there is that it's been happening several times and the boundary has been communicated and it continues to be crossed.
Yep.
Okay.
Exactly. If the boundary has been crossed and it's happening as a repeating pattern, now I give the ultimatum.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so, look, for you listening to this right now, let me ask you a question. You got kids. Common thing, like guys say, would you take a bullet for your kids? Would you risk your life to push your child, adult child or otherwise, out of harm's way? A car's coming, it's going to hit your kid. Would you risk hurting yourself to push your child out of the way to save their life? Most of you are going to say yes, unequivocally. Yeah, I would. Would you go to bat for your child? Yeah. Well, guess what, guys? Guess what? Your kids are going to follow the exact same pattern in their marriage that you're following. If your marriage isn't working, guess what? Odds are, statistically, your kids are going to go through the same thing, the same repeating patterns. Your wife's repeating patterns that she saw in her parents, right? You probably are too. And that's one of the things that gets to be addressed. And so this is where, we as men get to do the work. We as leaders are called to do the work. We're called to do the work that people before us just didn't do for whatever reason, didn't have the resources, the powerful man didn't exist, whatever. And we're called to do this not only for ourselves, but for our children as well. And that is a huge motivator for me. I'm just like everybody else. I'm not perfect at all. But I mean, this picture that's behind me, if you're watching this on YouTube or anyone, that's me and my kids. And they're always watching. I got little kids and they're mimicking everything mommy and daddy do. And my wife and I are very conscious of the way that we interact in front of our kids. We want them to see two adults that love each other, that are in love with each other. Sometimes we have to work on it. But we also never disrespect each other in front of the kids, especially. Like that is a gauntlet is thrown on the ground, and I would handle it. If my wife did it, just like I said, ha ha ha. Laugh, let the kids see me laugh, doesn't bother dad, whatever. Boom, we need to talk. Now, hey, we need to talk sometime. Is there any chance you can get me in your schedule on Tuesday? No, we need to talk. No, we get to go now. Away from the kids, I need to talk to you. And leave no room for misinterpretation in that conversation. And get confirmation. I need confirmation you understand what I'm saying. Do you understand? Yeah. Okay, what did I say? Get it back to me because I want to know, because this is not going to happen again. And when you're that assured of yourself and you're that assured of how you feel, you win the frame. Then now it's in your wife's hands. She can do it again, but you don't want to do it. We have so many guys that, not all the guys that go through our program save their marriage. Fact. Most of them still continue on and do other programs through the Powerful Man because it's so life-changing. But one of the reasons some of these guys don't save their marriage is because they leave. They want to go, whoa, I was trying to save this? I'm out. I'm the prize, as this guy said. I'm going to find somebody who lovingly respects me. Now, guess what? In those situations, their kids are seeing the way their father is acting. Dad is taking the high road. Dad is being respectful, right? And the kids know. The kids know when they become adults, they know what's going on. They see, dad took the high road. Dad did the best thing. Mom was being abusive. These are all important things to remember, guys. And in this situation, I love this guy didn't react. He didn't become DEAR. DEAR is an acronym, right? Defend, excuse, explain, react. He didn't react and defend himself, right? And helps him solidify himself that this is not the life I deserve. Awesome. I love that for him, right? You're getting more clarity on what you deserve in life. Life's not over. We get to keep playing, right? This guy could be in the second half, so to speak, right, of life. And now he's putting in his own all-star. His powerful man is coming in to play the game. And it's going to be a comeback.
Love it. 3 takeaways from this. that the men can do right now to
Yep.
find themselves in this situation? And let's paint the scenario, right? Boundaries. Let's say they find themselves in this situation and they haven't yet communicated the boundaries. They're just kind of laughing it off and, knowing they're the prize, not letting it touch them, remaining wolf, well, not going into deer, yet also haven't fully stepped into wolf.
I
What can they do?
Rattle these off quickly, but it probably needs some explanation. Step one, set the boundary, right? If you said the boundaries haven't been communicated, guys, you need to communicate them. And especially if this has been going on for a while, what's happened is we as men, as leaders, have taught the people around us how to treat us. Said another way is the way that somebody treats you in your life is what you've tolerated, you've accepted, and you've trained them to do that to you. Hard pill to swallow for a lot of men. Let's assume I'm right here. Now you get to set that boundary. And that boundary gets to be clear. I want verification that you understand my boundary, Tim. I want verification that you know how serious this is. Step two, use the hidden motives technique, right? Make sure she feels seen and heard as well, so her defenses come down, but you're also stern. If you don't know the hidden motives technique, we've done a ton of podcasts on it. We go a lot more detail into it through the activation method. But the hidden motives technique would be step two for me. Step three, right? Step three is a little harder because there's a couple things I'd want to do here. And so I'm gonna take a double guess. Step three is I'm gonna make sure that I'm still the rock, the anchor, and the lighthouse, right? I'm all of those. I'm steadfast. And step three is I'm gonna make sure that my wife knows I'm not gonna tolerate this behavior for me, for her, because it's not in her best interest to be like this, or for our relationship, the third entity. And I'm going to explain what I mean by that to her. Like, let's just say it's my wife, Erin, right? So, and I've had this conversation with my wife before. Say, look, babe, I love you and I love me. I'm not going to tolerate what just happened because I respect myself, but also because it's not the best version of yourself and what I know you to be. And I love you too much to allow you to behave like this. And I also value and respect our marriage and what our relationship could be and is. And I'm not going to allow either of us, myself or you, to go there because it's disrespectful and it's the opposite direction that both of us have said that we want to go. No questions there. I'm also not accusing her, really. I'm telling her I'm protecting you from you. I'm protecting me, but I'm also protecting you from you. And then I got this third thing over here, which is called us. And I'm protecting that too, because I'm the king of my castle and I will fight off all invaders, foreign or otherwise. And I'll even fight myself or you to protect that. That's a very powerful message to deliver to a woman, that I'm the man, I'm leading, and I'm here. Now, if you violate things, you can get kicked out of this third entity. You can get kicked out. You can be on the street corner, but I'm here.
Love it. Well, there you go, guys. As Doug always likes to say, the moment of insight, take massive action. Thank you, Fresh. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Guys, have a terrific day. You guys listening to this in the movement, you may get a sneak preview of this. I know you want some answers. This is due to come out on the 1st of March, which is about 8 days away. And the thread that's in the community, it keeps popping off with comments left, right, and center. So I think we upload the raw file to those guys, Doug. And if you guys have any questions or comments on this and you want to see more of it, then go over to the Facebook community. You'll see this episode in there as well. Feel free to ask a question, drop a comment. And until then, guys, have a terrific day. And remember, be the wolf, don't be the deer.